the argument is that they're trying to figure out, they're trying to assert that the president has the determination to state what is or is not a presidential record as opposed to personal. But Jackson says that the archivist did not have enforcement options in that. And then, of course, the classification markings apparently factor in. So this is going to be, I think everything is going to kind of set on that. I think that's where the crux of everything is going to sit. And I do think, and my friend, by the way, I'll just have you, and I don't want to name them because they are a practicing attorney, but they were one of the individuals that was involved in all the Trump stuff state by state. But they were saying that they don't necessarily see that as being a fail-safe defense, which that's troubling. So that's going to be determined in court. That's going to fall. But then you also have that decision in the court of public opinion. So there's a lot of things here. This to me is completely separate from, let me pull this up, which if I'm being very honest with you, I realize that they're settling on this because there are some, in the indictment, and if proven in court, that's going to be tough, that he was showing classified, top secret paperwork, documents about defense and national security. And that's kind of troubling. And there was the one recorded statement that he had made, and I had read to you last hour, where he was acknowledging that one of the documents that he had shown a reporter as it related to Iran was not something that he had declassified. He said he could, but he didn't at the time. That is a little troubling, a lot troubling. So, and that's one of the things that this case, and my friend noted that as well, you can't retcon the declassification, if that makes sense. You can't go back and say, no, that should be disclassified too. I mean, that power is only yours so long as you are in elected office and not out of elected office. So that timeline is going to be incredibly important as well. And the audio statement and some of the other things as relayed in this indictment don't support the assertion that some of this stuff was done, or that all of it was done while he was in elected office, if that makes sense. So there's some trouble. I know. I'm the same thing. It doesn't, this is not based on hearsay. It's not like he said, she said. There's evidence. That's what this indictment is based on, actual photos and dates and audio recordings. It's not he said, she said. That's what makes this very different. That's why you have Jonathan Turley and others, even Dershowitz. My gosh, he comes out and says, oh boy. He says this is it's kind of troubling. He said that he had a piece out, and he came to the conclusion, I'll add, that our Lorraine did over at Chapter and Verse as well. He said that it was a strong indictment. Dershowitz said, but is it strong enough? And that's the thing. It should have been a civil investigation, he noted, and it went to a multi-count criminal indictment. And that he said he talked about the cooperation and working with, because there is the moving around of boxes, etc. The indictment also includes, and I mentioned that, the recorded conversations, because you had one between, the writer he had a writer, a publisher, and two Trump staffers, and they were talking about whether or not a senior military official had persuaded him to order an attack on a country, which from what it sounds like was Iran. And then he pointed to some paperwork and then said that military officials supported the attack and that this totally wins my case. And then he had said on tape, this is secret information, look. And that's when he said, see, as president, I could have declassified it. Now I can't, but it's still secret. That right there, that's oh my gosh, why? And the issue, one of the things Dershowitz noted, he says it's possible that Trump merely waved the papers in front of his guests and never gave them the opportunity to read them, which is apparently not in evidence because they don't have the documents. He said, but even that is not enough to support the charge of willfully possessing the material. He said the hypotheticals in an unauthorized manner. He said, but the recording is self-proving because you're not, it's not a witness. It's not an antagonist. It's not some sort of talking head that was once on MSNBC or CNN. It's himself. That's really tough. That's a really tough thing. And so the other thing he noted is whether or not prosecutors had evidence that his actions damaged national security more than Biden, Pence, or Clinton. And that's something that prosecutors will have to prove. So this is just, it's a mess. It's a mess. It's an absolute mess. But why are we, can I also point this out? And this is what aggravates me. I'm not saying this as a way to diminish any kind of concerns, which will have their day in court on the Trump situation. But oh my gosh, why is the same thing not being said of Biden? Biden has had his, I mean, at least, oh gosh, I don't even want to do this. Trump's stuff was in a bathroom in Mar-a-Lago. It wasn't like it was in a garage that a cokehead had access to. They're both bad. I'm not saying that it isn't bad, but I'm just saying, why is the reaction to Biden's not the same or worse? That makes people not want to treat Trump's situation with any kind of severity because they see this unequal application of law, and that makes people resentful, and it makes them not want to follow the law. The best way to get people to not follow the law is to not uphold it. And you cannot tell me that with everything that we saw with Biden, you cannot tell me that there was not mishandling worthy or that merited the same reaction. For crying out loud, you want to talk about exposition and foreign entities and top secret information, the Biden Penn Center, which is a shared space with the CCP entity. I mean, didn't James Comey, what was his argument with Clinton? He was saying that she did not have any kind of intent required for a charge to distribute it, the information, and what Trump does because he hid it in Mar-a-Lago, and that was the reason Comey didn't charge Hillary? Isn't that the argument that he gave? This is so asinine. And so the president in here, Biden, you don't even know what foreign eyes have seen those, particularly the stuff in the Penn Biden Center. We have a lot to discuss. That's what angers me the most, because these people, it's like they're also trying to set you up to look like hypocrites, because they're trying to say if you at all whatsoever object to the Trump indictment based on the unequal application of the law, well, then you must not like the law. I feel like they're really setting people up to bait them. That's what they are.